So, welcome everyone to Hacking Rewards, coming to you live from Dallas, Texas. And the purpose of today is really just very quickly. It's not meant to be long or in depth. I'm not going to do a full. If anyone's gone on and actually looked, and here's one thing I would highly encourage you to do. I see this all the time. Many people want to. They transition to having an incredible experience with the product, and then they transition into wanting to become a promoter. Obviously, it's just natural to share something that you have an incredible experience with. And what's great is if you have a real, true, authentic, transparent experience, it's going to be one of the easiest things you've ever shared or ever sold in your life. And I have so many people on here, so many faces that I know for a fact that they have become incredible promoters because of their own personal experience. I could literally pick so many people out of here. It's awesome. But when you want to transition over, you want to make sure that, if you're going to build this, it's all based off of your goals. Remember, if you just want to get free product, it's a pretty easy process. You're just going to share this product and help two people get onto a ongoing smart chip, and that will yield you, the average of their orders will yield you free product in the currency, in the virtual currency of Prüvit bucks. So that's a great way to earn free product. But the goal of somebody that wants to earn free product is going to be completely different than the goal of somebody that wants to make $50,000 a month. It's night and day, right? It's not nearly the same. So the number one thing when you transition, maybe some of you transitioned immediately because somebody else's experience was so compelling that you said, I know this person, I trust this person. It could be, so I'm going to use Melody for an example. Let's say her sister, she knows Melody, she knows Melody her whole life, and she didn't need to necessarily have her own personal experience, but she saw Melody's personal experience. She saw the results and said, hey, this is something I trust, this is something I believe. But what I would caution most of you is don't put the cart before the horse, meaning don't talk about a reward until you had a real true product experience. Because my own personal experience, I have put the cart before the horse. And the problem when you put the cart before the horse is you take away the value of the product itself and you take away what the product can actually do. Because like I said, the goal for many of you is to have this be one of the easiest things that you've ever shared in your life. You don't have to be taught any special sales skills. You don't have to be taught any special product knowledge with this product because it actually works. This product works 100% of the time, every time. And if you understand, if you've been around, if you've been on the calls, if you've been to our events, you understand the research that goes on behind this technology. If you've ever got out and Googled ketones or ketosis, you understand how powerful the technology is, and you understand that your body will utilize ketones whether you feel it or not, whether you get an actual tangible feeling or result, it will come. And I think that, our track record over the last 14 to 15 months has proved that, hence the name Prüvit. But I want you to first understand that there's a natural progression that occurs if you focus on the product and the experience on the product. It's an easy transition into sharing the product and promoting the product. But the number one thing you need to do, if you're sitting here today and a coach or somebody that is guiding you along the way has not asked you what your goal is, then you need to stop and you need to go back to that person and you need to initiate with them or find somebody else that's willing to coach you that will specifically find out what the roadmap is for you, what goals you want to accomplish, what is it for you? Because like I said, if it's free product, that's one thing. If it's $500 a month, that's one thing. If it's $2,000 a month, that's one thing. If it's $50,000 a month, that's another thing. It's a completely different roadmap for every one of you. So we have to first identify what is it you want to accomplish. And as you're obviously starting to work with other promoters, you have to figure out what it is that they want to accomplish. Because here's one thing that you're going to learn very, very quickly. And this is in the process of building relationships and working with people, is that if you don't ask somebody what their goals are when they become a promoter, then you're doing this for you and you're not doing it for them. And somebody can see right through you almost immediately if you are trying to do something for you versus doing something for them. And the number one indicator is if you're trying to dictate their goals and not allow them and not asking them and finding out truly what their goals are and what it is they want to accomplish. Because while you may want to make this a full-time endeavor, that may not be something that they want to do. You may want to find out, hey, is this something that they just want to, obviously sometimes we get health and fitness professionals, and it may just be an easy plug and play for their already existing clients. And they may not want to go out and actively build a network. But here's what you have to understand. If they start having incredible results with their customers and their customers start naturally sharing it, which, by the way, as we sit here today, there are people sharing Keto OS with other people that have no idea that there's a reward even attached. No idea. Because something that is as powerful as our product gets virally shared, whether you can't stop it, is basically what it comes down to. I know some of the people on here like Frank and Nixie and Pam and Renee, there's no way you could get them to stop taking exogenous ketones. It's not possible. They've had too much of an incredible experience. So the point is that when people start naturally sharing that experience, it will get people excited when all of a sudden you have all these, you go into your text message, you were just, hey, this is just something I'm going to passively do. And then all of a sudden, bam, names just start popping up and you're like, who is that? Who is that? Who is that? It's because people are just naturally sharing this. And when you have something that actually works, it's really crucial to focus in on that experience. So with that being said, number one, you got to identify what it is you want to accomplish. Number two, if you're working with somebody, you have to figure out what is it that they want to accomplish. So make sure that that's a priority. None of this matters. None of these notes or anything that I'm going to share with you today matters unless you ultimately figure out what it is you're trying to accomplish or what it is you're trying to help somebody else accomplish. So first point, does everyone got that? Are we good on that? All right, fantastic. So here we go. Number one, here's what I want you to do. I want everyone to grab their phone. And if you are on your phone, you should still be able to navigate. You should still be able to hear me, and you should still be able to navigate on your phone, even though that you're still on a Zoom. So I want everyone to please take out their phone. If you don't have it yet already, took the time to jump here on a Zoom on Sunday, let's go ahead and just do one simple little hack. If you have an iPhone, I can help you. If you don't have an iPhone, I'm not necessarily sure the steps exactly, but you need to take cloud. So you go to your internet browser, you open up your Safari or whatever internet browser you use, you type in cloud.justpruvit.com, and then you want to add it to your home screen, and it'll pop up there, and you can utilize it just like an app. So you can tap it, and you can tap into it very easily, and it'll keep you logged in every time. And here's what I want to do. Like I said, it's one thing to tell you something. It's another thing to give you some actual, I want to actually walk you through it. I want to show you where you're going to access some of these things, because I understand that sometimes the back office can be a little intimidating, but it's only intimidating because you've made a decision that you wanted it to be intimidating. So we need to reverse that thought process, and we need to help you understand that it's not intimidating at all. It's very simple. But I want to make sure that you understand where to find things. I want you to understand that everything that I'm going to talk about is right here in your back office. So you can add it to your home screen. So if you look on my phone, this section right here, it just says Prüvit. And it's just kind of white and blank because of the screen that I'm on. It'll usually mirror the screen that you're on. But what's cool is I can just tap that, and bam, I'm right there in my back office, and it makes things a lot easier because I'm constantly monitoring different things, customers, engagement, different things that I'm personally trying to track with my goals. So it's something you want to make sure you have access to. Now, a lot of the things that I'm going to reference, first off, the number one thing I have here on my notes is that when you go to the rewards tab, so I want you to click over to the rewards tab in your back office. And all of you should have on there, your current period ends in 1 day, 11 hours, 46 minutes, and 29 seconds. So it's pretty awesome that you can, you've got a timer there for each and every one of your goals, daily, weekly, and monthly. And as you scroll down, here's what's cool. Even if you've already passed your Go Pro and your Go MVP period, that's okay. Why? Because I still want you to use it as a guideline for understanding what Go Pro looks like, understanding what how to actually track your compensation. And here's the reason. Go Pro is a foundation for everything that you're going to build. Go Pro is a building block. So I want you to think it this way. I want you to think of our entire compensation plan. So you have ranks 1 through 10, and then you have 3 sub ranks in each one of those ranks. So there has to be, if you look at a building, right, a building first starts with 1 brick, and then 1 brick turns into 1 side of a wall, right? And then by the time all the bricks are laid, you have a full structure. And I want you to think of it this way. That entire house in its entirety, right, completed, is the full compensation. It's the full rank structure. It's rank 10 star 3 or whatever it is. And when that house is complete, you have to first break it down to, as we talk about with ketones, to a cellular level. And what's the first foundation? It's that first brick. That first brick in that house is GoPro. That is the very first thing that you are going to try to accomplish, that you are going to accomplish. Okay, no tries here. That's the very first thing that you're going to set a goal to accomplish is GoPro. And here's the thing. Even if you haven't hit GoPro in that GoPro period, I still want you to focus on GoPro because it's the first brick. You got to lay the first brick. And the first brick is GoPro. The first, that brick, when you lay enough of those bricks, it turns into Circle of Champions. And I look at Circle of Champions as a wall. It's our first completed wall. And then as you continue to advance through the rank structure, you're building the house in its entirety until it's completely and fully built. Some of you have a goal to build that house very quickly. Some of you over a period of time. But I will tell you that if you're consistent and persistent, you will continue to work your way up that rank structure. And I'll help you understand some of the thought process behind it on actually building your business long term. But the number one thing I have on here is it's gamified. So what do I mean by it's gamified? So if you played Atari or Nintendo or up until Xbox and PlayStation, if you understand gaming, the point of gaming is that if you were to start a game where there was no point in which you could get satisfaction, no levels in a game, and it was just one consistent thing, most of you would lose interest pretty quickly. And why? Because you'd always have to start over for the beginning. So if they gave you 3 lives and you had to make it the whole way to level 55 in the game and you had to start over every time, you would probably give up pretty easily. And you would lose interest very easily because things aren't broken down into incremental levels where you can actually accomplish something, feel good about accomplishing something, and then start working from that point forward versus having to start all over again. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. So gamification, whether you're playing, some stupid game on Facebook or any game. The point is that there's progress bars. There's something that you need to accomplish. There's usually, if you're playing a game, it's you have to go pick up this thing, and then you have to meet at this checkpoint, and then you have to do this, and then that will get you to the next level. It's the same thing here. And I want you to understand what each one of these progress bars mean and how you would actually monitor them. So if you go into your GoPro, the first thing you're going to see when you open the arrow, there's a little down arrow, and I want you to click on that arrow. And as soon as you do, it's going to pop open with the qualifications for GoPro. And it's going to help you understand what that is. So to qualify to earn weekly commissions, 50 PQV, that's personal qualifying volume. Okay, what is personal qualifying volume? That is any volume created by you and your customers. That is a combination of you and your customers. And as you go up from rank 1 to rank 10, you'll see that PQV requirement goes from 50 to 100 to 200 as you continue to work up the rank structure. So what that basically means is that the personal qualifying volume for you and customers, the absolute maximum requirement will never be more than 200 PQV. And I am here to tell you that's nothing. Like that is 2 30-day servings. That's 60 servings of Keto OS. That is all that's required to hit the very top rank structure in Prüvit. So 50 PQV is where you start. Okay. Then the next thing you'll see is qualification period. It gives you 14 full days. Now, if you look at the Go challenge, what's awesome is that we know that if you were really excited about being a promoter and earning rewards, then, depending on where you live, like me, I live in Alaska. Like Steve and Melody will order a product and it'll be there the next day. Me, I order a product and it'll be there like, 5 to 7 days later, depending on obviously what shipping you choose. But the point is that if somebody was getting started, we don't want to waste any of those 14 days. We want to take advantage of all 14 days. And it's hard to give people 5-day experience packs when you don't have them yet. Which, by the way, hint, hint, that's another reason why everyone should always have extra product on hand for their community to be able to utilize. A great example of that is Nick and Kelly Couch. They constantly are ordering pro packs because they want to make money. This is a business. The reason why they order a pro pack is because it takes the serving down to right around $3 per serving versus $5 per serving. So when their team's using it, they're constantly earning all the time. They're running a real business. They're looking at dollars and cents. They're looking at profit. And I encourage you to do that. Just don't do this passively. Start keeping good math and good bookkeeping skills right out of the gate. You want to earn profit. That's why you do rewards, right? So what's cool is that you can click that Go Challenge button within the first, correct me if I'm wrong, the first 15 days, or is it hours? Somebody help me. Melissa, you're shaking your head. Is that correct? You have 14 days to click it. So if you don't click it in your first 14 or 15 days, it will automatically start. But what's cool is it gives you a period of time to get your product, to start moving it. And here's what you need to make sure that you do. Before your very first transaction, you want to make sure you hit that button. If you don't hit that button, you don't get credit. And you want to make sure you're getting credit. So in order to get credit, you have to hit the button. So if a customer's getting ready to order, you want to make sure you go in and hit that button if the 15 days hasn't expired so that you can get credit towards your GoPro bonus. The next section you're going to see is personally enrolled customers within the first 14 days. And then the requirement for that is 180 BV. Why is a customer volume a requirement? Why? Because the Federal Trade Commission everything has drastically changed in the last few years when it comes to this industry. The Federal Trade Commission does not want companies anymore selling opportunity. They want companies selling product, like real product that works. And they don't want people to be incentivized by solely just rewards. And that's important. And it's cool having a product that actually works. Having a product that is actually the best product that I've ever come across ever in the health and fitness or the networking industry. So that's awesome. So what is your requirement in those 14 days? It's 180 BV. Now, very quickly, so you guys aren't lost, I want to have you navigate back so you understand what this BV is, what this business volume is. Go back, and I want you to go to your home page. And then once you get to your home page, I want you to scroll down to the download section. And in the download section, you have your customer buying guide. In your customer buying guide, it gives you the exact cost, the full cost, the one-time cost, the smart ship cost. And just to help everyone understand, which I know most of you do already understand, but remember, there's no cost to be a customer here. There's also no cost to be a promoter here, which is another reason why Annalisa is a great example of this. And it was my fault for not, and I'm not calling you out, Annalisa. You'll help everybody here. It's more beneficial financially for you to have a customer that's just using product than having a promoter just using product. What I mean by that is this, is if they're not going to promote, then they need to remain a customer. Why? Because you're going to earn more rewards and more incentives keeping them as a customer versus what you would earn if they were a promoter. Remember, you want somebody to sell you on the fact that they want to be a promoter, not the other. You don't want to sell somebody to be a promoter, because if they're just sitting there as a glorified customer, then you're actually getting less rewards than you would be getting if they were remaining a customer. So please understand that you don't want to push people into a promoter position unless they want to actually be a promoter. Why? Because it's more financially beneficial for you to keep them as a customer. And what's great is, and unfortunately the problem is that because it's free, some people think that when they click on that promoter button, that money within 24 to 48 hours is going to start spitting out of their computer. And all of a sudden, they got the winning lottery ticket. They just don't understand that, unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So you want to have someone remain as a customer, because It's no cost to be a promoter. So if they are excited and they start sharing the product and people want it, boom, they click a button and they easily can transition into becoming a promoter for free. And it's no problem. Because remember, here with Prüvit, we don't try to incentivize or manipulate the compensation plan or manipulate people to become promoters like most companies by saying, hey, if you become a promoter, you get discounts on products. That's not what we do here. It's free either way. And the only way that you can get a discount if you're a customer or promoter is to be on a smart ship. And that is across the board. We don't sell packages. We don't sell we have some crazy package where it's a promoter package, and it all comes down to servings. You're buying servings. So even the bigger quote unquote promoter packages just means you're getting more servings, and more servings mean you can give more 5-day experiences, and more 5-day experiences turn into more 30-day orders. More 30-day orders turn into more loyal customers. More loyal customers turn into promoters, and more promoters turn into more people sharing product. And that's ultimately the progression, the organic, natural progression that you want to hit. And Frank says, so many hit that dang promoter button. Exactly, Frank. So here's the thing. Sometimes we get lazy because of the fact that everything is on a website. It's all so simple and easy. Just send them to the website. You always want to set expectation. Even when you're doing 5-day experiences, if you don't set the expectation of what people are going to experience, there's so many benefits with this product that it could literally just slip through. I mean, I can't tell you how many examples I have. I remember sitting with Nick Couch after 4 months of him taking the product in a workshop, using a success story about somebody that had arthritis and talking about how and I'm not making any medical claims, talking about how they just felt like they didn't have any more pain. And I'm thinking like Nick's weird or something. He's sitting in the back of the room and he's going like this. And if you don't know, he's an electrician. And he used to have to take an Advil or an aspirin a day because his hands would just they were so painful, right? And he's like, dude, I didn't even notice. He's like, for the last 4 months, there's not been anything wrong with my hands and I haven't taken aspirin. Because sometimes we get into a rhythm and we have a daily routine, and it just passes our mind. We don't even think about it, right? And you don't want your customer putting 2 and 2 together 6 months down the road after taking the product saying, you know what, I got hand pain again. That's probably, I wonder what that is. You have to set the expectation of what it is the product is going to do. Just like you have to set the expectation of, hey, and here's a way to get around that just for most of you. We have multiple websites that you can send someone. I don't send somebody that's interested in the product the website that pops up and says, hey, do you want to be a promoter or a customer? I don't do that. I send them directly to the shop keto so that they can only shop keto. And it's easy because then it allows me to do what I want to do. Do I like the other websites and like the other things? Yes. But Frank, to answer your question, or not really your comment, to hit your comment, you have to set the expectation. Listen, if you have a real, true, authentic experience, then and other people, you share it with are interested in that experience and they want to experience that, then it's as simple as logging back in, hitting the promoter button, upgrading for free, and boom, you're there. It's no worries, but you just have to preface it. You have to set the expectation. And that's one thing that's really incredibly important to do. So let's go back to your promoter buying guide. It will tell you exactly how much BV you're getting for each and every order. So each and every order has a specific value. And that BV value is the equivalent to everything that we're covering through that GoPro section. So, and I'm going to actually show you just some simple math on how simple it is when you really break down the math and see, so many people think, oh my gosh, in order to go Circle of Champions, I need to have thousands of people order. That's not true at all, but we'll cover that here in a second. So make sure you have the product buyer's guide, okay? That's going to give you everything that you need to know when you're going in and trying to figure out, because here's the thing. I know so many people get frustrated. They go in and somebody says, hey, just make the progress bar go green. And yes, that is usually my answer. Just go make the progress bar go green. But if they don't know how to make the progress bar go green, then they're going to get frustrated. This is how you make the progress bar go green. you just look at the points. If you just look at the BV that is associated with each product order, and it is incredibly simple. Okay, very, 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 very simple. And here's what you need to do. You need to go down through, for most of you, try to set a goal in the next 7 days of reading through every single download that's in the download section. Here's what I'm telling you. Bryon Underwood would not have them put that in the back office if it was pointless, if it was just, oh, it's not a big deal. You put it there because that's how this whole thing operates. Like, we're trying to give you, here's the thing. If one more person asks me how to set up a wallet, I may lose my mind. Why? Because it's right there. It's in depth. It's a video way better than I could ever do. It was by the company that set the wallet up. Like, come on, right? It's simple stuff. You just have to go do it, okay? Let's see here. Okay, so it's gamified. So let's quickly go back. Let's go back to the reward section. And when we go back to the reward section, we left off, and get used to navigating through this because that's what you need to do. So we're down to the 4th section, which is personally enrolled promoters within the first 14 days. You want to achieve, and here's what that means. And that means that, well, Bryon, you just said start people off as customers. Exactly. But here's what you have to understand. There are going to be customers when you set that expectation that you basically, they want to be promoters, but you make them start off as customer. It's called a takeaway, by the way. They want to be promoters even more now. Why? Because you don't want to let them become promoters, and that's just how people are. So what happens is that some people, I tell people this, all I want you to do is have a real, true, authentic experience. It needs to be transparent. It needs to be real. It needs to be real. Why? Because when it's real, you can't, and here's why it needs to be real. Because people are going to give you their opinions. This conversation is a conversation that's just, it's been underground for so long that when you tell people ketosis and ketones, they think death and destruction and, oh my God, whatever. But you have to understand there's so many articles and there's so much out there. But you got to remember, like, just because you know about keto and ketones and everything and you've been to a keto academy, trust me, 99.9% of other people have not. So the reason I say that is that you have to start getting better at setting expectations. And I tell people that if you have a real, true, authentic experience and if someone wants to give you their opinion, like I could tell Norman Becker right now, I could say, Norm, this product doesn't work. It's crap. It's a sham. It's just marketing. It's like all the other nutritional products I've ever taken. Norm would give me a wave, and it would be a one-finger wave. Why? Because Norm knows for a fact that his experience trumps my opinion. And 100 people could come and give Norm that same thing, that same opinion, and Norm would give him the wave, all of them the wave. Why? Because Norm says, dude, what this has done for me, I can never, it's absolutely unbelievable. And I know that because I know Norm's story. So the point is that if they don't have that real experience, people are going to eat their lunch and they're not going to be confident. You want to be confident about the product. And here's what's cool. It can happen in a day. It could happen in a week. It could happen in a month. My goodness, it could happen in a year. I've had people that come back and say, oh my gosh, I've been a customer for a year. It's crazy that but man, I really believe in this. And I'm like, did it really take you that long, or were you just inconsistent, or what was the deal? Point being, I don't care. Why? Because after 12 months, they decided, hey, this is something I want to share. This is something that I'm passionate about. Fantastic. But some people, I'd say a lot of people, especially when they see the videos, when they experience the product, it'll be a day and they're like, dude, I'm ready. This is awesome. Like I took this product and I lit up like a Christmas tree. This is amazing. Well, fantastic. And if you're doing 5-day experiences and it's a transaction that you're making, it's very possible that they haven't even been on the website yet. They've already taken 5 to 10 experiences and they're like, hey, I'm ready to go. I believe in the product. This is awesome. Let's do it. Fantastic. But I want you to understand that you have to have a customer requirement to go pro, and you have to have a promoter requirement to go pro. So if everyone in the first 14 days gets started as a promoter and you do 2,000 BV in promoter volume, what are you still missing? 180 BV in customer volume. So that means you ain't got no customers, which means you're not going to get the GoPro bonus, which means you just lost out on an incentive that you could have had. So I just want you to understand that. And then the last thing is team volume. What is team volume? Team volume is everything in your first 3 levels. okay? Everything in your first 3 levels, which means that once it goes past the 3rd level, what that means is that I enrolled Chris Colt. Chris Colt enrolled Norman Becker. Norman Becker enrolled Dave Fall. So anything past Dave Fall that's active, that's actually active, and by the way, if they're not active, it's okay, because there's a thing called dynamic compression, which means if somebody's not active, they will immediately compress out, and then the next person down the line will become available in terms of team volume, okay? But that also means that there's a team volume requirement in everything that you do, and I'll help you understand that here shortly. But just understand that in the first 14 days, you won't have to worry about that, because if your depth goes below 3 levels in the first 14 days, amen, that's a really good thing. That's a good problem to have, okay? Awesome problem to have. So team volume, that means 1,000 in team volume. So if you go back to your product buyer's guide, what does that actually mean? Well, there's also packages. So if somebody was to get the experience pack, okay, the experience pack is what? 600 BV, right? So 600 BV, that means it could be one experience pack, one person that's super excited about sharing this, and then 3 customers, because customers also add to your team volume as well. But the point is that you need to have a combined 1,000 in team volume over that 14-day period, okay? And that's it. But that's the brick. Like, that's the brick that you're going to build everything from. So, like I said, you may have that person that life happened and they're like, hey, I'm ready to do this, and their 14 days is expired and they can't actually hit GoPro anymore. That's okay. Still go back and hit GoPro. Hit the requirements for GoPro, because that's the first brick to make the first wall. That's the first wall to make the house. And that's what you want to accomplish. So it's very, very simple. And like I said, if you're wondering how you're progressing along the way, just click the progress bar. The progress bar tells you exactly where you're at. And it's orange until it turns green. Once it turns green, you know you hit it, right? So it's very, very, very simple. It's gamified. So if you know what makes the bar green, you know what feeds into the bar, which is your product product buying guide. It's a really easy equation to figure out. So does everyone have that? Before I move on from that section, does anyone have any questions? Okay, cool. Here we go. So next is deep and wide, width and depth. And what do I mean by that? So what is our compensation plan? And please understand this. Unless somebody has an engineer personality or that type of background, a lot of the things that I'm going to share with you right now, most people, if you give them too much information, I know that the last 3 or 4 Spark events, one thing that I saw, some very consistent feedback from every single person, was that I'm giving too much information about the product. And here's the reason why. There's so much information to give about ketones. I mean, guys, I've been studying ketones now for over 2 years, and I am still like, the rabbit hole is 1,000 feet deep, and I've only fallen 100 feet. Like, there's a long way to fall. And will I ever be on the level of Dr. Dom D'Agostino? I'm just here to tell you no. Why? Because I'm not going to go to school and get on his level. But the point is that I'm going to take all the pertinent information that I can, the important information, the highlight for me. I'm the Cliff Notes kind of guy. So while he read the whole book, I'm taking the Cliff Notes, okay? And I'm going to steal his Cliff Notes, and that's what I'm going to share. But the point is that even though you know the Cliff Notes version, you don't need to share the Cliff Notes version. Why? Because the new person getting started cannot share the Cliff Notes version because they don't know anything about it, which is why they can share a cartoon. And a cartoon basically takes the most basic principles of our product technology and delivers them in the most simplistic way possible, okay? So keep things simple. How you get somebody else started is how they're going to get somebody else started. So if you sat them down and explained everything about ketones for 3 hours and then broke down the compensation plan for another 3 hours, good luck on quickly duplicating anything, because it will be the slowest process that you've ever experienced in your life, because no one can do what you do. And that's not what we want, okay? So we have a unilevel compensation plan, and what the Federal Trade Commission, there's 2 compensation plans that the Federal Trade Commission absolutely loves, and a unilevel is one of them. Why? because it's actually based on the efforts of you, your efforts. It's not trying to leverage a position. It's not trying to build hype around a team or a community that if you just do this, you know, we're going to give you this and you're going to get this. It's not. Everyone starts from square one at a new level. And the customer volume and the promoter volume is all direct reflection of what you do. And here's the reason why I give you the example of deep and wide, width and depth. It is because you never want to personally stop sponsoring here. You always want to continue to sponsor customers, or you want to get customers started and you want to convert customers to promoters constantly, every single month, all the time. And here's the reason why. Because I want you to imagine $50,000 in business volume, 50,000, okay? And I want you to imagine $50,000 in business volume going down through 2 organizations versus going down through 10 organizations. What that means is that you are doing less profit sharing with less people through the 10 than you are the 2. So 50,000 in business volume shared down through 2 organizations, how many ever people that is, has to be shared by every single person in that line of sponsorship. And if the next closest person is at the same rank that you are, then that leaves very little left over for you. Versus if it's 10, you're now sharing with less people that are higher in terms of their rank. Now, eventually they'll be much higher, but you have a much more balanced organization. You have much more profit sharing ability because you're not sharing with somebody that's at the same level as you are. There's 3 ways that your organization and Prüvit will be built. It'll be built by the coach above you, someone below you, or excuse me, I hate above and below, so just scratch those 2 terms out of my vocabulary and your vocabulary. Your coach somewhere in your organization, or someone in your personal organization, or you. There's 3 ways, okay? Up, down, or you. Up, down, or you. And the reason I say that I don't like up, down, because just because you learned about this opportunity 2 days before someone else does not mean you're more special than them, nor does it mean that you are their Lord, nor does it mean that you are their boss, nor does it mean anything like that. Please, 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 if you don't take anything else away from today, take that away, because that's really important. So understand that there are, sometimes you get somebody started that's more motivated than you, and they build and they share a lot more than you. And what that means is if they're at the same, if you're a rank 6 star 1 and they're a rank 6 star 1, then they get a lion's share of the profit because they did a lion's share of the work. Now you're still getting, rewarded for bringing them to the table, but understand you have to balance out those profits. You have to balance out that profit sharing. And how that happens is as you have a wider organization, you have more promoters, you have more customers. That means you have more people to share less with in terms of compensation. That means you're going to make more. So please, I have people ask me all the time, what rank do I need to be at in order to earn this income? And I help them understand it has nothing, please, it has nothing to do with rank. Percentages go up as rank goes up, but there are people that are rank 6 that are making 1/5 of other people that are at rank 6. There are rank 5s making more than rank 6. There are rank 4s making more than rank 6. There are rank 6s making more than rank 8s. How's that possible? It's just math. It's just very simple math. It's incredibly simple math. And it's because if less sharing is done through width, more profit is made. If more sharing is done through depth, but here's what's cool. It's profitability. Width is profitability. Depth is stability. So my question is to you, would you rather have an unstable $100 a month or a stable $20 a month? And here's the thing. Every one of you are going to have a different answer, right? Every one of you are most likely going to have a different answer, and that's okay. But the point is that stability is really good. And I'm going to help you understand here at the end why you always want to build to constantly build relationships with people down in depth and treat them as your own. Why? Because that is, norms in depth. I saw Jill Fredrickson on here. She's way in depth. A reason I have a vested interest to go work with them is because I want to develop as many people taking action and leaders in depth as humanly possible. Why? Because they're the ones that are taking the most action, the most initiative, and they're the ones that are creating the most stability in my organization. And that's what I want. I want stability. Ladies, do we like stability? Oh yeah, you better believe it. So men, it's not that you don't, but women just have it together more than you do. So it's okay. So here we go. Next is, does everyone understand width and depth? Do you understand that? Did anyone think that the bigger rank you get, the more money you make? Did anyone think that that's what it was all based on? Okay, some of you did. Okay, so hopefully you understand now that the way the math works out, it's very different. Okay, it's very different. Now, understand that there are certain things, like what's awesome is that, for example, once you hit rank 6, you get a car bonus. So it's an extra incentive, right? It adds to your bottom line. Once you hit rank 7, you actually qualify for ownership pools. That means you're qualifying for a percentage of the entire earnings of the entire company, the whole company. And here's what I'll tell you. Every 3 months, it's really good. Like, it's really good. Like, it's amazing. I encourage you to jump in those ownership pools. They're awesome, okay? So Go Challenge, Go Pro. We talked about that. So let's move on very quickly to Circle of Champions. Okay. Now, down through your entire reward section, please understand that everything I went through in Go Pro it applies to every single tab on there. So remember, it's the building block. So I don't need to teach you guys how to build the wall or the house now, because you understand where the brick comes from. You understand the brick. And if you understand the brick, you can build the house. And there's no reason for me to go down through every single one of those sections in your reward section. Why? Because you know how to go pro now. And if you know how to go pro, you know how to go rank 10 in terms of the numbers, okay? Now, Circle of Champions. So let me ask you this. How is it possible to go Circle of Champions with just 30 people? Just 30 people. And let me give you the answer. It's very simple, because I see this all the time. People think I got to have hundreds or thousands of people in order to go Circle of Champions, and that's just not true. What is the math in order to hit rank 6? Now, here's the thing. If someone's like, oh my gosh, I want to hit rank 6, I want to be a Circle of Champion, and you can't tell me what is required in order to hit rank 6, then fail. If you're in my class, you'd get an F. Okay? And here's the reason why. It's because you have to know the goal. Could you imagine, have any of you ever gotten a plane and say, well, just wherever I end up is where I end up? You would never do that. You would get on a plane that's going to a designated place. Because if you realize that, if I'm traveling from Alaska to the East Coast, if the plane's off by 1 degree, it's the difference between me being in New York City or Miami, Florida. And that's not like that's way off in terms of my goal. Like, you got to figure out where you're going. So Circle of Champions is pretty simple. PQV requirement is 100. The group volume, which, by the way, group volume is your entire community. Team volume is your first 3 levels in your community. There's always going to be, through each rank, there's going to be a requirement for group volume. There's also going to be a requirement for team volume. Okay. In this case, Circle of Champions is 30,000 group volume and 15,000 team volume. So that means that half of your volume can come down from your community further in depth. 15,000 of it needs to come from the first 3 levels of your community. Okay. So I want you to imagine this, 30 people. Now, in 15 months, and I'm not doing this to brag, because I will tell you that I have never, ever, ever in my time in this industry or in Prüvit, there's a lot of people that have worked harder than me. There's a lot of people that have had faster runs than me. There's a lot of people that have just done better in terms of their they're spurts of effort, like they're races, if you will. And one thing I learned a long time ago is that if I want this to be long-term, then I'm going to treat it long-term. And my goal is that it's the story of the tortoise and the hare. You know, the hare's, you know, taking these quick little sprints and resting and going back and trying to sprint again, which if he realized if he just continued to run the race, he would have smoked everybody. But the whole point, and this goes back to the concept of slight edge, it's just doing a little bit every day, and understand that a little bit every day will accomplish more every time. Number one, in terms of momentum, but number two, in terms of building. So, you know, I see people do projects around their house, and it's like, I got to wait. Number one, I got to wait until I have this big chunk of free time, which, by the way, you never have. And I got to wait until that happens. So when it finally does happen, I'm going to work for 3 days straight. And the problem is I'm not going to accomplish it all. And then I got to wait again for another big chunk of time. And then here we go again. You never get any momentum. It never gets done. That project just still stays this thing. Versus if you went out and just did a brick every day. Imagine if you spent just 2 minutes on a project every day after a year, you would accomplish more than that hassle over a period of 3 years when you get it done. So hopefully that makes sense. But I've just been consistent. So my personal goal, now after 15 months, I have 110 customers and 121 promoters that I personally brought to the table. Now, if my first goal was, let me see if I can get 100 people in the first month, I would have stressed myself out. I would have just become completely unrelatable to people. It would have not been natural or organic at all. I would have been trying to rush something that needs to take time to develop. So all my goal was since day one is, you know what? I want to bring on a customer a week, and I want to bring on a promoter a week. That's it. One a week. That was my goal. Just one a week, 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 one a week. Now, after 15 months, it turned out to be the numbers that I have now. And here's what's crazy. Sometimes my goal would be 1, and it would turn into like 3. And it wasn't because like it just happened. Like people came back that I had talked to weeks before and said, hey, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I want to do this, blah, blah, blah. You know, I was like, you know what? I already have my 1 for the week, so you're going to have to wait till next week. No, I was like, awesome. Now I got 2 this week. Great. And that's all that it was. I was just persistent and consistent because here's the thing. I believe that every one of you on here believe that you could bring on 1 customer a week. I believe that you can convert 1 customer to a promoter a week. And if that's too much for you, then focus on 2 a month, 2 customers and 2 promoters. That means you have to average 1 every 2 weeks of each.
Total shipments?
Say again? Okay. Somebody not talking to me. So, and here's the reason why, and I want to give you a thought process behind this. If I told somebody like, let me use Eduardo for an example. Here's what I know about Eduardo. He's a winner. If I was to tell Eduardo, listen, dude, just 2 a month, he's a winner, and there's no way he's just going to do 2 a month. But he's going to have people in his community that barely believe they can do 2 a month. Remember, we want duplication to occur. We want everybody sharing. We want things, simple. We don't want to intimidate anybody, because if I came in and said, hey guys, the goal this week is 100 customers and 100 promoters, you would shut down. You would just be like, okay, well, I can't do that, so let's not do anything. And that's all we want. We want it to be simple, and we want it to build over a period of time, and it will. It absolutely will. And the point is that a person that's going to do more is always going to do more, even if you tell them to do less. But somebody that doesn't believe that they can do less, we want something that everybody can do. And I know everybody can do 2 a month. I know you can. I know you can do 2 customers, 2 promoters a month. I know you can. What does 2 customers and 2 promoters a month mean after 12 months? Well, that's 24, right? And 24. That means that you have, 48. Yeah, I wasn't good at math, by the way. 48. I'm good at a calculator, though. That means you have 48 total. Now, some of you I know have been in for 12 months. And if you would have just been like, you probably just had an aha moment, because you were like, I've been so concentrated on getting so many people that if I would have just focused on that after 12 months looking back, I would have 48 personal people in my community which could equal hundreds, if not thousands of other people, because that's the process of sharing. Because if two get two, who get two, who get two, who get two, who get two, we can talk about the math and what that duplicates to. If you go on your, if we just do multiplication, and I want you to understand, you have to get this, because the whole reason why I sold my traditional company is because I couldn't get duplication. I mean, it was hard enough with 5 employees to try to hammer all the things that we need to accomplish. It was hard. So the reason that I've been in this industry for as long as I have is because I've experienced multiplication. And here's what multiplication, if you were just 2, let's just talk about 2. So I'm gonna go with my calculator here, if I can find it. So I want you to understand these numbers, because this is what should get you more excited than anything else. And that is 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, then 16, then 32, then 64, then 128, then 256, then 512, then 1,024, then 2,048, then 4,096, then 8,192, then 16,384. And that's just with people focused on just getting 2. Just 2, not 10, not 15, not 20, not 50, not 100, just 2. You know, for instance, Abigail Klutz has experienced this. And you just, it's amazing. Like it is absolutely awesome. We have people in the company that understand this process. They understand multiplication. And this is what happens, and it is absolutely amazing. So you have to understand multiplication. So let's go back to, how do you accomplish Circle of Champions with 30 people? Well, it is very simply 30 people with 10 customers apiece. So does everyone on here believe that over a period of the next 90 days, so if it was 2 a month, okay, so that would take you roughly, if things went, you know, really slow, really according to those goals. Because here's the thing, many of you're going to have a goal of 2 and you just won't be able to stop it, like I said. So that's 30 people maintaining, each person maintaining 10 customers apiece. If you have 10 customers apiece, that means, number 1, you're getting a lot of free product. Number 2, that means you're getting a good retail profit. And number 3, that means you're starting to earn some really good commissions through your monthly residuals and all the other points of compensation that we have. So 30 people with 10 customers apiece that all are using 30 servings, 1 serving a day. Let's do the math. What does that equate to? It's actually more than 30,000. And the reason is I'm not counting in the 30 people, their own personal volume, okay? Because their own personal volume is like another 3,000. So that would roughly be 33,000. That gives you a little buffer as well. So 30 people with 10 customers apiece. Raise your hand if you are on here and you have 10 customers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and there's a bunch of people on here that actually I can't see your face, so you could be raising your hand and that's cool. But point being is that for all of the faces I can see, at least half of you have 10 customers. Now, let's talk about those customers. You now run as a promoter, you run a real business. So my customers, I treat them like gold. If we have a new product out, I write a nice letter. I put that one single little product in there. I say, hey, thanks for being an awesome customer. Why don't you try out this new product that we just released? I'll do little incentives. I'll say, hey, you've been such an awesome customer that if you order X this month, I'll give you, 15 servings for free, or I'll send you some Prüvit bucks or whatever. But the point is my goodness, treat your customers well. Treat your customers really well. Why? Because a lot of them, guess what they're going to be someday? They're going to be a promoter. And guess what they're going to do to their customers? The same thing you did to them. So treat your customers really well. If you are transactional with your customers and with your promoters, you will have a business that does this. It's a revolving door. Why? Because this industry is built on relationships. Relationships with your customers, relationships with your promoters, okay? And that is incredibly, 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 incredibly important, okay? So 30 people, 10 customers apiece, maintaining and treating well 10 customers apiece. That equals 33,000 in volume. If it's within your first 3 levels, that's actually 33,000 in team volume, which automatically covers group volume, because team volume will always cover group volume, but anything past 3 levels will add to group volume and not team volume. So you just have to monitor that. So here's the easy way to fix it. Back up to my last 2 points: deep and wide, deep and wide. If you're wide, you'll never have a problem with team volume ever, 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 ever. If you're just deep and not wide, and that comes with continuing every day. I see it all the time. I got 5 people started. Those are my 5 people. I'm going to manage those. I'm going to manage and motivate those 5 people. I'm just telling you, it doesn't work. Okay. After years and years, I'm telling you, it doesn't work. Okay. Plus, you get out of touch with how to help somebody get someone new started. Why? Because you haven't done it in a long time. You always have to balance your width with your depth. And that's why I say, as you start to move through the compensation plan and as your community starts to build, it's not just working with personal people. It's now going down in depth and working with people in your organization. It's now going down and building relationships as if they were your own, with Norman Becker and with Frank Prüvit, and with another great example is Jay and Melissa Weaver. Jay and Melissa are way down in depth. Now, Jay and Melissa, we know each other pretty well because we've seen each other. How many times do you think? How many times do you think, just guess, because I don't even know. How many times have I come to Fredericksburg, Virginia? At least 5, okay? So that means, and here, understand this, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I believe there's 6. There are 6. They are down in my group volume. Their group volume, okay? Why am I still working with? They're in group volume. You know what I'm saying? There are places in my organization that I am 15 to 25 people in depth, creating a relationship and treating them as my own, treating them as if I personally sponsored them. And I'm doing that because I want to help them in any way that I can. I want them to know I'm there to do anything that I can for them. And if they want to build, that's building my stability. That's building my legacy in this thing. That's building my long-term residual income, which that's the cool thing about this industry, is you can earn ongoing income. So that's really, really important. So hopefully everyone understands it doesn't take a lot of people in order to accomplish a lot of the ranks in this company. Okay. And here's if you have 30 people that have 10 customers apiece, and that's what's being duplicated throughout your organization, you're going to have one of the strongest, most unbreakable, most stable organizations in all of Prüvit, guaranteed. Because everybody's profitable, everybody's getting free product, and everybody's sharing what they're doing. And if that's the model, that's amazing. Even if just that's half the model, that's amazing. If people just do half, because I was told a long time ago, your organization will do half of what you do, which means, hey, if I get 100, they're going to get 50. If I get 200, they'll get 100, right? If I'm showing 5 videos a day, they'll show 2.5. If I show 10, they'll show 5. So lead in that aspect of what you want duplicated. Now my battery's down on my computer, so I just got a couple more points here. Duplication, wallet. Actually, I pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover today for a 101 section. And as you guys continue to advance, we'll kind of, I'll try in the next 3 to 4 weeks, I'll try to do a level 2, like a level 2 hacking rewards. And the level 2 will be on more, we've already taken an hour, and level 2 will be on more organizational structure, where to work, how to work, understanding the processes of working down in your organization and where and how you want to do that, how you want to interact with the coaches that are with those organizations. You want to get as many coaches involved. Like if Jay and Melissa can have me, Abigail, Lori, Milton, and Allie all working personally with them, it's like heaven. Like, why would you? And Milton and Allie would be crazy to say, oh, no, we want to work with them. So that means that Bryon and Lori and Abigail, you guys don't work with them. That's nuts. If Bryon Underwood will come in, and I want Bryon Underwood to work with as many individuals in my community as humanly possible. So all of you become amazing rock stars, and Bryon will work with you personally. And I want Bryon working with as many people personally. If he just did everyone in my organization, I'd be really happy. Okay. But that's not going to happen. But the point is that you want to allow individuals with current credibility and leadership to come in and be a part of your community and your organization. And you want to work really hard for them to be able to do that. You want to reach out to them and actually ask them, let them know what you're doing, what you're accomplishing, what your goals are, so they'll come in and work with you even more. And that's a good thing. And sometimes, as the community grows, you need to be aggressive in working with your coaches, because here's the thing. You want what they have. They don't have what you want. And don't take that as oh, well, that's just mess. No, it's just what I'm advising. Annalisa will tell you this. Norm will tell you this. Frank will tell you this. Neil will tell you this. Renee will tell you this. I tell them that where we are as a company and where we are with this conversation, you only want to work with people that want to be worked with. So if I sponsored 10 people and 5 of them want to go and rock this thing, they have great goals, and 5 of them our human nature is to help people that can't help themselves. Our human nature is, if we have 5 that are rocking it and 5 that are doing nothing, we want to go spend all our time with the 5 people to get the 5 that aren't doing anything to be like the 5 that are doing something. Meanwhile, these 5 will do what they were going to do in the beginning, which is nothing, no matter what you do. And these 5 will start to fizzle out because they didn't get any proper help. And now you lost all 10. Focus on the 5 that want to do. Focus on the ones that want something. Focus on the ones that want to do something, be something, accomplish something, have goals. And if you do that, this thing will go viral. It'll be amazing. Okay. And the reason I say that even if it did, you went for a couple months and something happened or life happened or whatever, and you re-engage down the road, say, hey, hey, Annalisa, I know I didn't do much in the first 3 months, and it's okay, but I had some life going on, whatever. I really want to rock this thing now. And, I want to call you. And I was like, oh, great. Well, then do this, this, and this, and let me know when you do it. Get back with me. And if I don't get a call back, if Annalisa don't get a call back, she knows that, well, this person's obviously just falling into the same pattern that they probably do. But if they're constantly reaching out, if they're constantly making stuff happen, I got Jill Fredrickson on here that's hitting me up right now, and Jim, and they stay on top of their coach. Okay. And if they stay on top of their coach will stay on top of them. And it's that type of relationship that you constantly want to curate with your, with your coach or who you're working with, or who has current credibility, that has a rank or has an income or has something that you want. You want to seek them out. People working with Tony Robbins and JM3 and all these people, they're not seeking. I mean, whatever they can do to get in the back pocket of the people that are coaching and mentoring them, they're going to go out of their way to do that. That's what I do. Man, if I got to bribe somebody or what, hey, Bryon, let me take you out to dinner. Let me do what let me get you some coffee. Let me take you out to dinner. Let me, give you a back rub. Let me do whatever. Like, come on, right? Help me. I want to be helped. You have information and knowledge that I need to gain. You have wisdom and years of experience that I don't yet have, and I want to learn from you. So that's what you really want to focus on doing. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up, and I'll take literally a couple questions, and then we got to wrap up because I was trying to stay within an hour period of time, and we've gone about 7 minutes over. So do we have any questions? And actually, let me answer one from Joe. Can you go over? You can never go too deep in group volume. No. Here's the thing: you're always going to have an organization. So, for instance, Abigail is my largest organization right now, and I will always, if it's 1,000 people in depth, I'm going to continue to work with the leader that's the furthest in depth, because I'm going to continue to drive that thing to China. I want it to go straight through the United States, straight around the world to the other side of it. I want it to go to Canada. I want it to go to Australia. I want it to go to Europe. I want it to go to South Africa. I want it to go to wherever, to Mexico, to Brazil. I'm going to continue to drive depth and build stability and forever and ever and ever. You never get out of your taproot. That's your largest, deepest organization, because that's the stability for everything that you do. So no, you can never, ever go too deep in group volume. But you always want to balance it out with width, because if you don't have any width and it was just Abigail was the only person, I would be making teeny tiny little, now it would be very stable teeny tiny, but it would be teeny tiny, and I don't want teeny tiny, okay? So next is placement lounge. Here's what I'm going to tell you. This is really important. Unless there's only 3 reasons why I place people, and I will tell you my personal story. I'll tell you Abigail's. I don't necessarily know some of the others, but me and Abigail, for instance, because obviously talking back and forth consistently over the last 15 months, for our first 8 months, we did not place one single person. And the reason for that is because you don't want to get into the habit. You should never do for somebody what they can and should do for themselves, number 1. Number 2, 3 reasons why I would place somebody. Number 1 is because of geographical location and geographical advantage, meaning that if 2 buddies of mine were back in my hometown and I feel like they would work better together and I'm 3,000 miles away from them, then I think that that would be a good match but I wouldn't do it right away. I would wait to see who's going to perform, and who's going to perform, I would incentivize them by placing the other person with them versus vice versa. I don't want to say, well, you know what? My buddy Jen, he was really good. He's really motivated. He's talking a big game, and Sammy here is not really talking a big game. And then I place Sammy under him or with him. And then 3 months later, I find out Sammy absolutely smoked him, and the other one was all talk. And now that's not, you know what I mean? I want incentive, which actually goes to number 2. You can use it as incentive. You can use the placement lounge as an incentive. So, hey, if you grow over the next, 60 days, I'm going to have other organizations that I can help, that I'm going to need some help with, and I know you can help them, and I want to reward you with more group volume, because that's what it is. When you transfer somebody, that's group volume. And then the 3rd reason is because of personality differences. Sometimes and here's the thing. Number 1, if you get along with everyone in your community, you don't have a very big community. Number 2, if there's not chaos in your community at times, you don't have a big enough community. 2 indicators: if you don't like everyone and there's not chaos, those are 2. That means you got a really big, nice organization that's starting to grow, and that's a really great thing, okay? Most of you would think of it as negative. Trust me, it's positive, okay? That means you got a lot going on, which is great. So with that being said, if you have a personality conflict, that's another great reason to marry somebody up. The last one is if you just get so